got a different pen. Let me see.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order for Monday, March 1st, 2021. We're in a virtual Zoom meeting and we're starting on time. We'll start off with a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Being where we are, and so we can stand and do the pledge all together. Okay. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice, all this one, being able to read together. Roll call.
Mr. Chandler.
Here.
Mr. Severino.
Here.
Mrs. Bell. Here. Mr. Russo.
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Bell.
Yes. Okay, we have, if I'm correct, we have no guests tonight. Mayor, if I may want to ask you a question. The people you have coming in, where are they going to be at in our program? How long do they need?
See, my wife brought it, my daughter.
Council, but the first part would be myself and David had a presentation on the kiosk system. Could be, I mean, you can take a whole challenge, but make sure the package got to their home.
Everybody on council got a packet, right, from the mayor about the.
Yeah, about the, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what we have to decide now, how long we want to spend, I mean, you know, I'm here, we always use it here a long time, but whatever, we got to do these things when we're together, so.
There's quite a few things to talk about with parking in general. The toughest part, not the toughest part, the one that we've worked extremely hard with everybody in the parking department, the police chief, Mr. Severino, and Lisa, is that, you know, the kiosk system, it's been a long time coming, and, you know, it can be quick, or it can take a little bit of time.
Well, what is council's pleasure? Would you like to have them do their presentation now, since we have nobody else, or do you want to do it after, maybe after we do all the possible voting items, in between possible voting items and unfinished business, or whenever?
I wouldn't mind them doing it now. That's okay with them.
What's everybody else? Everybody else? It's going to take up the same.
That's
amount of
fine.
time.
I mean, I think for Dave, probably hasn't been to one of our meetings. It could go 3 hours with stuff that you really don't want to listen to, but
Yeah,
everybody
you
else has been.
got your bed?
used to it. So, yeah, I'd say for Dave's benefit, maybe do it up front.
All right, so we will go to the, first I gotta go to public, we'll get public comments out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and do that. Do we have any comments? Anything that's requested by you? Joe, anything you had online?
Don't see any, and no.
Okay. All right, and we'll just go ahead and go to Mayor, your special report on parking.
Mr. President, guests, and council, good evening, and thank you for allowing us to come before you in regards to the kiosk proposal. That, again, as I said, I've tried to make it for there to be not so many questions. We thought we would try to cover everything and present it to you in a package form. And again, we got it out early enough that I'm going to give you enough time to look at it and come before you tonight and have a great discussion. So throughout the next period of time, we'll have comments from myself, Dave DeLuca from Parking, and John Severino from Council naturally. We've all worked on this, had input from Chief Colville and some comments from Lisa, who's also with the Parking Authority. So let's start off with the first page. I think what's so important here is up in the right-hand corner, you'll see where it says CoStars-33. If you will, that allows us to do it on state piggyback pricing, and that eliminates the bid process. If Ms. Denise doesn't agree, I think she'll render a decision on that. As you come down through, you'll see that we're talking about the stealth touch pay by plate system. And it includes all those items. I don't believe I need to go through that. If I do, we'd be happy to do that. If you will see what we have decided at this time is the amount of kiosk machines that need to go into our parking lots here in town. As you see under the quantity, it's quantity 5, and the price is $84.95, total $42,475. As you come down through, the training and installation and shipping is all included. And at that point, we will come down one additional line below the first one, and you'll see the alternate options that we felt that we needed. It would be the motion sensing light that will allow that to be illuminated, along with 3 extra point canisters. At this point, that project will cost $46,495.
Okay, Mayor, I don't know how you want to do this, but do you want questions while we're going along rather than coming back?
It probably might be easier just to write your questions down and then let us come back in, because I think as we go through, a lot of the questions could be answered in the remaining pages that we put.
Okay, okay.
And we can go slower, just so you can write your questions.
Well,
down.
yeah, I just had a couple questions on things that you're buying.
Yep. As long as you're okay with this, President, we'll just kind of roll through it and come back. If you go to page 2, you're going to see some monthly fees. You'll see annual fees. And in this case here, the first line is the back office software management system. It's $60 a unit, $720 yearly per unit, which will give you a subtotal of what it shows there, $3,600. It includes all those options that are there below that. And with the back office options, if you're following along, there'll be what they call the validation code modules. And I think what's important to council here, to the business district here, is the fact that the machine, if you go back to token days where the merchants would buy tokens and be able to give them to their people, they would be able to do the same thing here by buying a paper coupon that they would be able to issue to their clients or whoever would want to purchase them, including the Chamber of Commerce. I believe that the Chamber heard that we were talking about this, and they like the idea of being able to offer that to the business culture. The second item, the advertising on the meter screen, was important to the team. That would allow the borough to, if RT Bell Company wanted to advertise on the screen, and Rich Russo Company wanted to advertise on the screen, we can sell advertising. Just like when you go into some of the gas stations, they show you different inserts that are on there. We'll be able to do that here in town. And that's on a monthly basis, if that's the way council and would set that up. And then naturally the extended warranty on parts after 1 year. With this being electronics, we strongly, for that amount of money, we recommend that we buy that extended warranty on that item. Third page is the same as the first page, except for under quantity, it's just showing you one. The reason we brought this to you is we want you to see that by buying 1 versus 5, you're saving about $1,000 as you buy 5 versus 1. And everything else is pretty much the same. We'll go to the next page. It's the same way as it shows you as of 1 year versus the 5 that we were talking about. Once we get through the pricing area there, the next pages are all the options that we talked about, and allows you to look at them and understand them in depth of what those options are that we're talking about. And this is the scan gun area company that we'll be working with. And I want you to continue to go through those. If you have notes, we'll come back to them if there was any questions at all. And if you go to the last page on that section, which might look something like this if you will.
Got it.
It summarizes up all the costs that we must have. And again, year 1, that would be the $9,000 $1,008. Year two, some of those items are reduced to the 3828. And then year three, the same way, 3828. Dave, I'm going to ask you, do you want to expand on that part of the conversation at all? Sure.
You mean just going down the list?
Yeah.
Okay. So if everybody looks at the first item, the Site Pro print hardware, that's the actual scan gun itself. That's what Lisa and I would use to actually scan the license plates with. The extended warranty, the company highly recommends that per month. If you go with the manufacturer's warranty, you have to deal with a 7 to 10 day turnaround on shipping. This company guarantees overnight shipping, so if the unit gets dropped, they'll have a new unit out to us the next morning. And we just send the other one back, and it's not an issue for us. They have to have a data plan through Verizon attached to them in order to connect wirelessly with the kiosks. So again, that's something that's absolutely required. The monthly mobile license is for the software that actually runs on the site gun. So that way when we scan the license plates, they'll connect with the kiosk. Kiosk will then bounce back and tell us if they paid, and if they didn't pay, if they're a current permit holder. If those two are both null, then at that point the person will get a ticket from us. The personalized webinar training is something that they require you to have. Basically, once everything's set up and functional, they would run us through. He said it's about a 2-hour webinar where they would go through any Q&A that we have, show us how to use the system and all those things. The cloud setup and customization is where they actually sent me a 15-page site guide that we have to kind of go through if we do decide to go ahead with this. And they basically program the system to tailor it to our needs based on what kiosks we're getting, what options the kiosks we're getting, because these two kind of have to talk, flawlessly between one another. So they basically build the software for us. They build the software for everybody customized. So no one job is the same for them. The software is built based on what the borough township needs. And then the printer paper, they give you the first one with the order. However, we're still going to go with the mayor and the chief and I decided that, and with Lisa decided that it's best for us to handwrite the tickets so there's continuity between what the officers are writing and what we're writing. If we didn't do that, then we would be giving paper copies of the tickets off the scan gun, and then that would eliminate them to be able to pay with cash and check through the fine boxes as well. So we're just going to stay with the handwritten tickets on that part. So that's the list of all of our options. Now the first 5 pages do include a few options that aren't in here, like processing credit cards through that company and things, which I know we've talked about before. But this list is what we absolutely need to have in order for the scan gun to work correctly.
Okay, if you will, continue on that page, this release is important for you, is that this company is also in the Coast Guard, as you see on the left-hand side. I think that's really important to you. On that one, I think I'm pretty well done. I would like you to turn to the next page. And I think the conversation here that we want to go with, and Mr. Severino, I'm going to ask you to chime in at this part, along with possibly Mr. Russo, Mr. Bell, is that a lot of input has gone into the kiosks and the meters. And kind of where we're at right now is the kiosk makes a whole lot of sense. And what also makes sense is the meter that are on Greenside, North Central, North Jefferson, Pike Street, and we show you how many meters are in the areas, and it shows you the count. And then down below, it's going to show you what, if we decide to change that to another fee, whatever that fee is, if it goes up a quarter, so forth and so on. The amount of money you're looking at to stay consistent with the kiosk, and that's the way council goes, is anticipated of $17.85 or $35 per meter. And a question Mr. Severino will bring up later under probably his report or when we get this far is he had asked me about the Greenside area, and he'll discuss that with you, what he's thinking about. But I want you to know that there's between 3 or 4 cars that park there daily, and they roughly bring in $25 per week out of those parking meters that are presently there. And what's going to be important to that would be, as we talk through this with different permits, so forth and so on. But I just want to make sure everything's on the table as we continue through this. The next page, for the parking lots, especially like PNC lot, we have to do some work there with some signage. It's going to say permit only parking, and possibly some of the other lots. We just felt that, put it on paper, we can adjust it accordingly, but we think that we shouldn't exceed $500 to $750 in additional signage. When we turn that page, we will come down to, and I want to make sure that I'm very cautious as I go through this, just so that we show you everything. Everything is on that next page. The yellow and the blue is all, when you bring it all together and you bring it down, you'll see a total of $66,008. And that's for everything except for the signage and the meters that would be recalibrated so the council so decide. You want to go into that a little bit? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. We took that out and then we put it back.
Yes.
The 66,008 will include the meter change and the signage change in that price of 66 and the change. Right below it, if you see total recurring costs, right now you're looking at $12,048 that would be reoccurring on a yearly basis, moving into the kiosk move. May I say to you that whether we do it now or whether we do it sometime in the near future, I can tell you, and Dave will tell you, and Lisa will tell you, that working with the parking meter people that we have now, he's one of the only dinosaurs that are left to work on these meters. So I don't even know if you said we're going to stay with parking meters. Once Dawn retires, who we would get. I mean, they're calling from many other states saying, will you please work on our meters? And he just doesn't know how long he's going to be around. He's, what is he, over 70 years old right now?
Yes, and he's honestly turning jobs down when we call him now to get meters fixed because he's just overwhelmed with what he's doing.
So just so we can stay in the parking area, and hopefully we'll answer a lot of questions as we continue through here. And as we, the committee, have chosen, we have taken off so many items to get completed so we can move on to the next phase. And we talked months ago, and we are now happy as of today. It's going to take a week or so to transform it, but we are working to relocate all the permits that were in the Midtown lot. And they've all been notified, they've all been talked to, and unless council's got a call from somebody, we have no complaints on what we've done. The first part is the names that are listed, the first three names that are listed there. We have relocated them to the Jefferson Avenue lot. And again, let me put an asterisk on this. We moved them there until we see if it works. If it works, they can stay there. If it doesn't, they know that we're going to move them again to another lot. And we can talk about that in depth if we need to. The next 5 locations, all those folks were okay to move behind the PNC lot. And as of today, that lot should all be permit only parking. And I talked with Mr. Lawrence, and he's in the process of getting permits established there. So, today was our target date to start to make that move. And we will continue to address it, and we'll give them a grace period for everybody to adjust. We move to the next page. We will talk about the UP Church parking lot. And allow me to say that over the many, many months that we've been working on this, working with the development team, working with just comments from a whole lot of different people, and including our Public Works Department, whenever Public Works come this winter and said, hey, could you take a look at this and see if we can readjust that parking lot for the benefit of all, whether it's for the people that have to walk in that lot, or whether it's for his plow trucks that have to go up and down there and not have to dodge and have all those cars in the way of that lot, so that when 6 or 7 o'clock comes and people start to show up for work, it'll be as clean as he can make it, or as men will make it. So, if you will, that part that I'm telling you with Mr. Lawrence and his crew, we believe that if you're looking at the picture on the left where it says overnight residential permit parking, I only put in there 5 or 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. That can be adjusted. We're just giving something to work from, and then we can adjust all of that. And that would be all those people that are residential in that area. And I believe that we have talked, we have monitored that, we have looked, and John, if I'm not mistaken, we believe that we'll be able to fulfill those needs and probably still have between 4 and 6 empty spaces, correct? John, you agree, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, we're talking about 88 total spaces. There's 64 permits in now, and that leaves us 24 available spaces moving forward. When you come in a lot entrance, if you will look to your right, and I don't believe I told you this at last council meeting, but we met with the post office. The post office has agreed to put a post box like that, post drop box, and it's going to go somewhere in that area right where we're showing you in the picture. Don't have it identified to the inch, but it'll be in that area, and that's going to help a lot with parking in that lot illegally. It's going to help our people to just jump in and jump out, take care of their letters. And that would be that part on the mailbox. So we look at option number 1, which was right above it, and we look at option number 2, which is to the right of it. Right now, we have nothing in there except for the 2 handicap spots, which are along the wall that is a part of the parking lot. I think our conversation is that option 1, for visibility purposes, we felt that between 4 and 6 of the parking meters that would be taken out of the lots could be installed right in this area. Again, we're not putting it right down to the inch yet, but to move it forward, that would, when they come in the lot, they're going to see public parking right there at those 6-meter spots. We'll have to do some additional signage in there for whatever that signage might say. And if council's not happy with option number 1, we will go to option number 2. Option number 2, which would be along the wall, closest to the post office. Not quite set on that one because of high visibility. You want your meters to be seen. And what we thought about for safety purposes on option number 1 would be those big yellow poles that you see in different places. We would have them put in on 4 points so that, we would protect our investment as far as the parking meters. And the last part on that would be to update you on the postal service. Met with those folks, and they have promised to put additional signage in the driveway on their side, allowing the public to know that they can pull in there and park in the back. As Chief and I talked today, we expect that to happen any moment now. So there's a lot going on here. I think we've addressed all the concerns. And again, if you have some notes, just make them for a minute until we continue to go on through there. On the next page, if you will, we're looking at the right-hand lot across the street here. And if you will, what we have looked at is that we have kiosk 1, which we believe should be in the area of the State Store and the Rite Aid store, and kiosk 2, which should be near the new Boost place that's across the street in the Monroe's area, right in that area. And we have a possible future look at a kiosk, which would be down near the sidewalk area. Our suggestion is to go with kiosk 1, kiosk 2, and the reason for that is when most of these people that park here are going there for the plaza. It doesn't do us any good to have number 3 if they were thinking about coming across the street and going into the municipal building. They have to use the kiosk that belongs to that lot, correct?
Yes.
Any change on that?
That's correct.
So then I say to you that when we've gotten through all the parking lots as we have, and we've said to you, we believe we should purchase 5 kiosk machines for the lots that we just talked about. What we have from the company, Mitch has told us that if we get a 6th, we need a 7th one. He's on the first page, I believe it is, of $84.95. If we decide we want to put one in the Beach Ridge parking lot 6 months from now, he will want to, we wanted to add another one across the street because it's just that busy, we can do that and not be held to $1,000 more per machine. I thought, and the team thought, that that was the right way to go. Put in the 5, let's get it rolling, and let's continue to have conversation whether we should add more at a later time. And if you will, I believe all the next pages are everything that we kind of talked about here. It might have answered some of your questions if you've had time to read it at your leisure. And before I go any further, Dave, do you want to update anything from here on out?
No, I think, sir, you pretty much hit everything. I mean, I'm sure we'll get questions, but you pretty much went over everything in detail that we talked about.
Mr. President, I believe that we are prepared between myself, David, and Mr. Severine to answer questions.
Okay. I think you did answer a couple of mine at the beginning. The motion sentencing bar I was going to ask you about, that's to read the plates, am I correct? Makes it so it picks it right up and does whatever.
No, the motion sensing bar started so that the,
Oh,
that actually gets mounted on the kiosks.
pardon me? That's
That gets
on the
mounted
kiosk.
On the kiosks, and when somebody walks up to it, that makes the light, if it's after.
Oh, okay,
It makes the light turn on. It also makes the kiosk screen come on during the daytime.
okay.
So it's kind of a nice feature because then they don't have to push the start.
Okay,
button.
then I was wrong. I thought it was the handheld things you said. Okay. Anybody else have any questions so far?
Denise, was there like a little bit of a financial study on this by any chance?
I think parking is out with me.
A financial study on,
With the meters versus the kiosks. What you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
do you mean to get the meters changed to 50 cents an
No,
hour?
no. Plain revenue.
Total cost or income?
Oh, I know what he's talking about. He's
Help
talking
me out,
about,
John.
Dave, he's talking about, would the kiosk bring more money in than the meters would? That's what he's comparing the prices of
Yes,
money.
and the reason why is, if you look at one parking space out there now, if you put a quarter or 50 cents, if we move to 50 cents, that 50 cents buys that individual space an entire hour, and 13 people can park in that space. If you park in that space and you buy an hour for 50 cents and you pull out 18 minutes later, that parking space is now enforceable again immediately. So yes, it's going to allow us to not have people riding on other people's quarters. Basically, when you pull in that spot, you're gonna have to either pay. And unfortunately, it is gonna raise enforcement as well, because again, when you pull out, that spot's immediately enforceable for another vehicle that's parked in there. So, I mean, I can't see anything other than the fact that.
Okay, Dave, that's good.
Yeah, because right
That's
now,
good enough.
right now, Ed, if you would actually be out there and you'll watch people that will ride around
Yeah.
until they see.
I'm one of them, John. I'm one of them.
Okay, all right, then I answered my question.
So one additional question for comment for council would be the fact that where we're at price wise now on the meter, you folks have to establish where you're going to go with the price. Because
I'm sure John will come up with an answer on that.
he has
Okay.
it.
So
He was.
you good?
I'm sorry.
So
go ahead, Rich.
I'll apologize up front because you know how anal I can be. I'll get through these quickly, I promise. So first off, absolutely blown away. Thank you and the team and Dave and John. One of the better put together packages I've seen in a while in this effort to bring things about in the borough. So thank you. Some easy things. Phone technology, my cell phone. I'm coming into the parking lot. Can I use it? Do I have to go to the kiosk to use it?
No, you do not.
Okay.
There's a Flowbird app, and one of the packets that's in there has a purple cover on it, says Flowbird app. And you basically can, if anybody, there's gonna be signs like in the borough lot right now that says Flowbird, lot 1, and all they do is download the Flowbird app, and then you can pay for as much time as you want on there. You can pay inside a restaurant while you're eating, so.
And I assumed that, so thank you.
Sure,
That's
no
good.
problem.
The one that we have now in the Jefferson lot, and I'd ask you, Dave, but Dave and John, or not the Jefferson lot, but our borough lot, it works. I mean, that test that we've done there for the 30 days or 60 days? I mean, you guys are all happy with that?
Yes, I mean, we honestly, we have had some issues over the last couple of weeks that we've had to work out with printing. But I've had probably 6 pull requests open with Calais for different things that we've adjusted. And now we have it down to a science where I haven't had any paper jams over the last probably 8 days. So now basically once, and it's kind of nice to be able to do this because now they can take that configuration and just copy it onto the others if we do move ahead with this. So it's kind of nice to have this one to work with rather than having an issue with 5 that we have to kind of deal with.
Any negative feedback from, Dave, you would get them from residents, folks that are having a difficult time, whatever?
Between myself and John, and Dave always on his own and Lisa on her own, I think that I make a purpose when I see somebody stand there trying to use it, go up and say to them, how was it? Was it easy to be used? And I've got everything positive, unlike the previous one.
Yeah. I've used it and it's been good. Okay. Real quick note, the post office, there is a sidewalk. I was surprised. So if you park in the back, some of the conversation was, I'm going to have to walk through that driveway. But if you're in the back parking lot and you're facing the building, to the left, there's an old sidewalk, believe it or not.
Church side.
On the
Yeah.
church side, between the
Yeah, there's
parking
steps
lot
to
and-
go up.
which is going to help people tremendously as opposed to walking through traffic. On the Rite Aid lot, the third one, so just what quickly came to my mind is because I park there often when I come to a meeting. So if I park on that side, the street side of the Rite Aid lot, I think I'm gonna have a tendency to jump across the street and head over without getting back. So we might want to think about that third one quicker than later, because it just seems like when we have a busy meeting here, or the folks next door at the, karate place, seems like you park there and you just kind of jump over here. But just a thought. The UP church, so, that's all work in progress. Any thoughts given to, because it's so big and it's going to become probably the biggest asset we have on that end of town as far as parking, can we enclose it in some way with gates or, and make use of kiosks up there by somehow managing the parking space versus it being a wide open free for all to, you got some meters, some permits, some whatever. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a thought. I mean, you got entrances and exits. And so there's a lot of transition going on through that lot. And it's kind of
You would
difficult.
have, on that, it might be hard, Rich, because you got the entrance from the plaza that comes into there, and you got an entrance from the church that comes up there. You would have to have almost like 4 gates
Yeah.
or fence.
But you have.
Yeah,
coming up
from the
backside of
the church, that's what I'm saying, the backside of
coming
church.
in Church way.
Right.
Um,
And then coming in from the other side with that
again,
dog.
just a thought as we go
Yeah.
forward, if it becomes a cluster up there and folks are like, I have no idea what's going on here, we may have to start curbing it and putting up fences or just a thought.
Yeah.
I think what Ed was getting to is it's going to cost us $12,000 a year to do this outside the initial investment. And that's fine. I would assume that from a baseline, I'm going to get a lot more than $12,000. I got to cover that cost. So it's a matter of business, right? I got to cover that cost. I got to cover whatever typically happens to our lots out of our revenue, whether it be paving them, lighting them, paying Dave, paying Lisa. So I think Ed's right. We need to do the analysis of what we can most justifiably put on paper to say, this is going to work and it's going to pay the things that we need to pay. And I think that's just makes sense. So that's good thought, Ed.
So
And then-
before, just so we're chatting here, but I think we need to establish if we can even hone in on that number that we're looking for. I gotta say one thing, the parking department in its present day is very flush. And you see those numbers quarterly or.
Flush with cash?
Yes.
Well, let's not do anything else.
I'm saying it doesn't run in the negative side.
Yeah.
And since the new folks are in that department, if you look at statistics last year, and we can comprise them, I believe. Sure. grasp those numbers to show you that it probably doubled?
It's,
It's close, right?
yes, we do about $9,000 a month between fines and the meter collection.
And I think just Ed's point is that you do that due diligence just to make sure that we're not 3 to 5 years down the road.
Absolutely.
Denise is saying, you know, guys, this is running at a negative every month.
And I think honestly, those numbers, I think we'll see that those numbers are gonna increase over themselves if we do move on with this equipment.
So
And then the last thing is you talk about, and then I'll turn it over to Eric, sorry.
No, you're good.
Just the last question. You and I have talked about it, Dave. My concern with the permits in town has been, as we look at Rite Aid, and I actually ran into Dave today, as you look at Rite Aid and you look at AC Coil and you look at, seems like everybody wants a permit. So you have this business-sponsored mentality that if I'm Rusty Gold, I want to buy 6 spots outside my place. Rite Aid wants to buy 7. Liquor stores next. McGrogan's is next. Have you thought about how to, and we have a big parking garage coming, so that's going to help. But have you talked about how you avoid businesses lobbying, negotiating, and being successful at acquiring space that can't be enforced? I can go to the liquor store and park in Rite Aid and never pay a nickel. I can go to AC Coils and go to McGrogan's all night and drink for free as far as parking. So any thoughts on how you enforce or remedy that whole business sponsored parking spot?
So one of the things that's still under discussion, we have a discussion tonight, which is, would be a little bit on down the road, but in committee, we've talked about places like the city of Washington, where they have a 30-minute, maybe a 1 hour, a 1 hour opportunity for merchant parking only at a parking meter in our town. And could that go the same way in a parking lot? Again, that's for discussion with a whole lot of people, meaning you folks.
That'd be hard to enforce, so wouldn't it?
What's that?
That'd be hard to enforce.
Well, Dave and I believe he talked with Lisa about it.
You have to chuck the tires or,
And it might be walking along, and if it's ABC 123 permit on there, he'll document it at 9:10. And if it's a 30-minute spot, and when he comes back through there, and it's still there, you know what's going to happen.
yeah.
You know, some of it has to be a mechanical part on our part too. We just don't have electronics for everything. And it's been said, Chief Caldwell, you maybe, it's been said it's not real favorable to mark tires anymore.
No, not if you're driving a very expensive car and I just put black shine on them and you put big white stripe on them. No.
Right, but now with the idea.
On the bottom of the
Yeah, with the idea of like beauty shop,
now.
with the idea of beauty shops and what is it, barber shops, you're gonna have, you know, people come in, park, walk across the street, get their hair cut and, you know, things of that nature. You're gonna have traffic, like, you know, correct by saying, and, you know, it seems like as if we're having some more, you know, it seems like Lisa's doing the job of, how would you say, filling some of these places up. So, you know, we're gonna have where visitors are gonna come in. And, but I see Rich's point though, by the way, too, if you tie up everything, yeah, then next.
We know parking has been limited, and that's the biggest thing that came out of Eric's, you know, workshop last January, a year from now. So we know we're addressing it from a steering committee and redevelopment. This is addressing it from, you know, technology standpoint. We know we're short, and that's why I say at some, you know, we're going to get a garage. It's going to help. Maybe we move all the permits up there or whatever. But I just worry that if I'm a business owner, I'm going to try and grab some spots. And if I see that some folks are doing it, you just have to be careful that not all business owners decide to buy spots.
And I think, again, in when we've walked and talked this thing out just a little bit, if we decide to put a 15-minute merchant spot in there, or a 30-minute, whatever council decides is fine, or we just don't do anything, that can help all the merchants just for a run in and run out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to be there half an hour to an hour, you know.
And I think we talked to Pittsburgh just instituted within the last 2 months, a 15-minute meter, 15-minute something.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes in certain
I
places.
brought it to council several months ago. Mine was based off of talking to the folks in the city of Washington. And they said they don't have too much problem with somebody overstaying. But what they offer is 1 hour and a 2 hour. I don't think that's what we're looking for here, because we just don't have, like you said, as much parking as we're being called on for.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for answering those questions. I'll leave it to other folks, but appreciate it. Job well done.
Yeah, my question was, since you had the kiosk, what can you identify, or even what was your revenue from the kiosk that was downstairs versus tickets?
You mean the one that's currently here?
Yep.
Can you,
Just to give, so when you put it in, there were some bugs you had to work through. It's been here, what, 3 months?
since December 10th, I believe, or somewhere right around there. Glenn.
2 or 3 months.
All right. So based on that, have you gotten an idea of what the revenue was generated from that?
It's very similar to what the parking meters were.
Okay.
In the borough lot, because it's a small lot.
Sure.
But as far as tickets, I've personally noticed that the tickets have gone up because most people that run into the magistrate and things like that, people roll the dice. That's just kind of human nature. So I've noticed that fines have gone up significantly in the borough lot.
Okay.
But the revenue is about the same as the meters, just because it's kind of doing the job of what the meters did. So.
Okay.
Remember also, Eric, in that lot, you have a lot of permits in that lot. You're not taking a lot, like, if we would put the kiosk machines in the library parking lot where there's more meters, your revenue would be a lot bigger. Or take the Midtown parking lot. All the permits out there, if you put the kiosk machine in the Midtown parking lot, your revenue is going to be much higher.
Okay. No, it's just,
Yeah.
and
Once we get all the permits out of all the lots, the revenue will be much higher than what it is, because it'd be more filled up.
thank you. And then the other,
The lot beside us, Eric, is a lot of employees.
Right.
Yep.
Whether it be our own, or whether it be the magistrates.
okay. And then the other question for the UP lot, you first started talking about the cost for the meters and the gentleman that's eventually going to retire. And, walk me through why the reasoning putting meters versus a kiosk in the UP church parking lot, going forward.
So I think the thought right now was, being that the company will work with us and establish that price the way it is that, I believe we're solid in what we've established so far. There's still, as Mr. Russo said, there's a lot of different areas of egress of traffic coming in and out of it. I just, not knowing, there's so many unforeseens, we know what we're dealing with in the development team and everything like that. But I think we were staying a little conservative on that lot of spending $9,000. And we thought we would establish the parking there on Northwest Bank side. We put some parking meters in there to see if it works out the way we think for public parking, addressing that a little bit. Maybe council might come back and say, hey, let's put 6 more parking meters in there, and we'll just leave it at that, call it a day. There's just so many moving parts and so many different groups that are working on so much. It just sounds like right thing, between that one and another 9,000 across the street, putting the kiosk down there. Again, I say, would not benefit the parking lot as you come across the street.
Okay.
Yeah, Eric, up in the UP church parking lot, since there's a lot more permits up in that lot right now. We're trying, look at the future if any businesses come in down that way. And like Dave said, on the one, we add a couple more meters up in the UP church parking lot. But later on in our conversation, when we talk about a couple other places, that I'm going to bring up about meters on the street. That'll be later on in the conversation. You'll see that we're talking about putting more meters on the street, but we'll talk about that here in a few. And that will compensate the meters in that area.
Because eventually, So let me ask this question,
Okay.
and I thank you for that. So is the end result after the end result is to get rid of meters altogether?
No, we're not gonna get rid of the meters on the street because if you put them,
No. And let me
No.
finish my thought.
okay,
The goal is to get rid of meters altogether and replace it with kiosks.
and
On
right
the-
now in
on
the
the
parking
street.
lot. All right, go ahead, Alex.
Ultimately, our goal has to be to get rid of meters.
Right.
You're talking about.
Right, all together,
Here's the thought process on that area. UP Church, we're gonna have 4 to 6 maybe meter spots up there. It's experimental. So to spend the money for a kiosk at that point probably is not gonna work.
Okay.
We still have on-street parking. Now, when we move the meters out of the kiosk lots, even though Dawn may be retired, may be dead, I don't know. But we're gonna have parts and meter heads to last us for the next couple of years.
Okay.
So we do what's necessary first, and eventually with street parking and parking up there, we can move into the kiosk at that point.
That's
You're gonna have to phase them out because like they said,
Yeah.
eventually meters are gonna be gone.
okay. And in the last,
I'm sorry.
yeah, last question I had.
Sure.
So if I understand, you're dealing with 3 different companies or one company? You have the kiosk, then you have the software to read the license plate, and then you have the app. Am I right?
There's, no, the Flowbird is actually the company that makes Flowbird and Calais is the same company.
Okay,
Calais actually makes the kiosks, but Flowbird bought them.
gotcha.
So we're actually working with 2 independent companies. So Flowbird is one which makes the app, they actually publish the app and they do the kiosks.
Okay.
And then United Public Safety is who handles the handheld hardware.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions.
Go ahead, Ed.
My point was just, other than, people paying their, taxes, this is the second highest revenue thing we have coming into the borough.
Right.
yeah,
Well, I'm gonna comment on something Rich said.
Okay, but I just wanted to get that
Yeah,
point
and
across.
you're right, and it's gonna follow up nicely with what you just said.
Go ahead.
First I'm gonna go back to the UP Church parking lot. I think the most inexpensive thing we can do to make it aesthetically pleasing as a parking lot is lane it and put arrows, whether we make it directional arrows, whatever the case. That's probably the cheapest thing we can do, to just kind of delineate it as a parking lot and which way you should be flowing. The second point is, and I've been saying this for a while now, since we revamped parking, I don't think we predicted how fast things were gonna move. Whether it's revenue, whether it's rewriting, whether it's going policies, whether it's going kiosks, it has moved so quickly. And at the beginning of the year, we hired basically for 8 hours a day. You can already see Dave's here, Lisa's during the day. They're getting overtaxed now to the point where it's hard to do enforcement because they're doing a lot of paperwork, they're doing a lot of analysis. And to tie in with everything, what we talked about was when a car comes in now, that quarter used to be good for an hour. Now it's only good per car. So if you get 5 cars in there, you should get 5 times your money. The problem is our enforcement at that point. So there's 2 points on enforcement. More needs to be out on the street to enforce this. And the second part is, and you've heard me say this before, and I think now that Dave's here will back it up, we are losing a ton of money late afternoon.
Right.
Lisa's done at 4:30. That time period after that is a whole nother phase where we are losing revenue because we're not collecting anything. And they're not gonna put money in the kiosks if they know meter enforcement is not out there. So, when you move forward here, you're gonna have to relook at hours, enforcement, personnel down there. Right now, we have 8 hours, but we're starting to get taxed and
Too early.
stretched with that right now.
too early, because there's not a lot of people out there, right, Dave? That time in the morning, 8 o'clock?
There isn't, but honestly, that's when I get most of the admin stuff done for
Right.
what we need to do. So that's what I mean.
Right.
That's what I do during the morning.
And that was, to answer your question before, remember you had a problem on Jefferson Avenue, 8 o'clock, early 8 o'clock? Okay, so then like Alex said, then we have the people that open at 4 o'clock. We don't capture them because they know they can open at 4. And then the
No,
business.
I think to Alex's point though,
Right.
is this is a work in progress.
Right,
It's,
Right.
and hopefully smart folks will, as you grow in a cost-effective way so that if you need to hire additional staff, it's
Right.
paying
That's
for
why
itself.
we're
So
doing well right now, because that's
Exactly.
just starting to-
Okay, second thing, with the Episcopal churches,
Correct.
who said correct?
did.
Oh, okay, thank you, Mayor.
I know where you're coming, Jefferson.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna bring that up.
So you got a call from Mr. Ziak?
Oh, no, no.
No, Jeff,
No.
Rich did.
No, honest, do I get a haircut? I don't get a haircut. I just do my own hair.
Where I thought you were going was the fact that he made a call to several of us in the last couple of days. Somebody got tagged at 3 minutes to 9 and was one of their customers. And he was told that's when the enforcement time started. And just to make sure we were spot on, enforcement starts at 8 o'clock, at parking meters on the streets. In the parking lots, it's 24-hour enforcement.
Oh, okay, I have no problem. I had someone, member of my family that lives out of state, in the state of Illinois, called up because they got a ticket. And I said I'll tell you, my sister, I said, it was only a quarter. She says, you're kidding me. I said, yeah, it's a quarter for, what was it? A quarter for, what is it? An hour or a half hour?
Carol, I hear that all the time.
I mean, she says it was a quarter and they're squawking. She says, she ever came to Chicago and Illinois, if $1 will cost you 7.5 minutes or something like that. It's some crazy, amount. So after I told her that, I mean, she's okay. I said, write her back, whoever wrote you on that Facebook below me,
And to be honest with you, just the financial side of this, you all are, but that's what your committee is that all the folks that we work with this kiosk process, when we showed them and told them what you pay in a parking meter, it's exactly what you're saying. Guys, you're so low. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. We don't want to be, overly taxing people. So there's going to be a break-in point. But one final question on the UP. It is now all permits, correct? We've talked about the signage, it's all permits. So as we grow into more parking, whether it be the parking garage we're putting in or whether it be additional parking down on that end of town, which we talk about, is it possible that the UP becomes, you have 88 spaces, 64 are already permits. So as you move people from town to UP, is it possible that that just becomes a permit lot as it is now?
And that's where Jefferson
Well,
Avenue.
you said about PNC Bank
you have
maybe.
very
Didn't you say
few.
PNC Bank may be all permit?
I'm sorry,
You said PNC may be all permit, right?
PNC, effective today,
Is it?
moving everybody to permits.
Oh,
in
okay,
there For the ones that were coming out of the Midtown.
right.
And the ones that are already existing in there.
Oh, okay.
That,
But go back
but-
to Rich's question over,
To answer your question, when we were in Lisa's from AZ, she felt with the restaurant coming there, that we have to have some type of public parking over there. That was
Okay.
her feeling, which I agree with, and I think Mayor, you agree with that also. They're gonna have some type of public parking.
Okay.
If they're busy.
And I think what we've started to be successful with, and it's been an issue with Mr. Chefferini, is that some of the business up in that area are now starting to buy permits and getting off the street and going across to that lot, which hopefully, we can just deal with what we have in front of us. Hopefully what'll happen is those other parking meters that are there, those businesses will, prosper by people pulling in and using them, going into the restaurant, it's gonna be enlarged and
Right.
whatever else is there.
Right now, you got businesses all the way up to that church that's on Pike Street. From Arc to the church on Pike Street. They're all
we talking
businesses.
about like the funeral home across the
No,
street?
no.
Where you
They're
at?
on Pike Street up by Arc, okay?
Oh, okay,
Okay,
by Old
from Arc-
Brody's. Can we
from
say like
Arc-
Old Brody's? Yeah.
Arc,
Okay.
all the way up to there's a church right in the middle, right there next to, the
Orange-
interior decorator is a church. From,
Orange Street, yeah, Orange Street, okay,
Right.
yeah.
and they got
No.
all that, no, I'm on Pike Street.
Oh, you're talking the little new light church.
Yeah, they'll do like.
Oh, okay,
Right,
okay.
and there's businesses all the way up.
Used to be Chartier's Cleaners
Okay.
and all that. right?
Right. Now, one of the people that owns the tattoo places bought the underwriters. They're making apartments upstairs.
Mhm.
So you got apartments in all them places upstairs, all them buildings. So eventually they're not gonna park out in front because they'll have to run out there every 5 minutes, put money in a meter. They're gonna move across the street. Because right now underwriters are both empty, but probably by midsummer, they will be filled. I'm guessing that it'll be filled, but they'll move and buy permits across the street. And Alex is saying it's just a couple meters up there in case we don't cover all the meters that are on the street
Yeah.
for them businesses, and that'd be the overflow. But, I mean, I might as well just bring that up now about Jefferson Avenue, since we're not yet, okay. But that, all right, but that's where the overflow, yes, it might turn in all permits come down the line, because that in the town is growing
Right.
big time. So that, as far as Rich said, that might turn all permits, but then we will have to think of other things in play. But we'll have to worry until that happens. Right now, we're just trying to get the machines on the street.
Sure.
you
So-
know? The kiosks on the streets.
Good conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, so are we, RT, looking to proceed in the manner of voting to spend the money to do this? Is that where we're going?
If all the questions have been asked.
Okay.
That's,
I mean,
you know, if.
Let me just say one thing before you say something. I've been studying this kiosk for 6-7 years. I've seen other towns. Those kiosk machines will make money to your things. It'll cover the cost of 12,000, and probably it'll cover the cost of the meter people and cover the cost of maintaining them park lines. I'll guarantee it that them kiosk machines will make the money. You know, I mean, look right now with just the meters
Okay,
alone.
John, I believe you.
That's,
Okay,
John,
we
John,
believe
you
you.
just have to do it
Right,
in a way that it
Right.
isn't completely subjective, and I'm sure they're going to do
right,
their due
Yeah.
diligence to make sure.
Yeah.
that
But hey, John, I believe you.
yeah. Yeah, I'll just,
So as we move.
Let me get a couple.
wait a minute,
comments in.
Tommy
This
has a
is-
question.
This is good, but Tommy, go ahead. I'll wait.
Just one quick comment.
All right.
We lease the CUP lot. We do not own the CUP lot. Caution that you might have to have permission to put any kind of meters. You're gonna put holes in the lot, you're gonna put meter poles in, so I think that's. a
Where is that located?
Next to the church,
UP,
next to the post office.
Okay.
UP lot.
All right.
So that's, we lease that, we don't own that.
That's where we were gonna start to wrap it up before, I would say to you, council, our recommendation. So that was number one that has to be considered. Number two, we have met with several different municipalities that are utilizing this system, and John has led the charge on that, and they all are satisfied with the system. So, as we had come to you before the council, we said we weren't happy with the first one. I want to caution you only on one thing. This machine will not accept dollar bills. And the reason it won't is these machines, whether it's this one or any of the other ones that we've talked with, they have issues with paper currency of jamming into machines. So, can you do it? Yes. It is not recommended by the vendors.
And that's going, I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
doing this.
Just want to make
Yeah.
sure, you know, it's all out there. And again, like Mr. Lawrence said, that if you approve it, it didn't make sense to do all that legwork with their boards and everything like that. But if you're moving in a direction, we're recommended for a vote to approve it. And if you do, then the next legwork would be to meet with the church and make sure it's okay to install the parking meters as we described. If it's 6, okay. If it's 4, okay. That's your decision.
You know, I mean, let's come back to this, you know, and like you asked before, Rich, about the money. Probably what, 2 months ago, we've been talking about these parking lots for how much? And we know on our committee what parking problems we have. And then there's a different problem. So there's a couple different things we need to go. But I'm the one a couple months ago that said, after listening constantly about what are we going to do? And then we talked about buying 1 kiosk or 2 kiosks. I said, if we're going to do this, and in first place, parking meters are going to be gone in a few years. So we got to do it. We have to do it. But I said, let's bite the bullet. If we're going to do it, you can't put one in here and then our residents are going to be totally confused. And then you're going to put another one down here and they're going to get used to them. Then they're going to go to a third one and it's not going to happen. Now we get total confusion. So that's my idea of if we can afford it. Denise can tell us that. I think eventually it's going to pay for itself, there's no doubt. A couple of questions, Mayor, just on what you just talked about. Or a statement on one thing, as far as bringing money. I think we all got to remember, one thing this brings to the table that we don't have now. We've all done it. You come downtown, you're going to run in someplace for a little bit, the doctor's office, whatever, you're in there a little longer. Or you're in a bar having lunch or a club or whatever, big fellas. You get comfortable. man, I only put in for an hour. I should go out and put money in, but I'll take the chance and not do it because I don't want to go out, or it's raining and I don't want to go out. This gives them the chance from while they're sitting in there, all they got to do is go to the phone. I'm going to add another hour. They don't even have to leave the building. So I think it makes people think about, well, wait a minute, instead of me getting a $10 ticket or whatever the ticket is, I can put another dollar in here and get myself out of trouble. They'll do it. I think that's good. So I think those things, help us.
Great comment.
I don't see how we can go wrong with this. It's just, meters are going to be gone. I mean, everywhere you go, like I said, I was in Dormont. They have meters on the street and they have kiosks. But like they said, we had to do this because eventually the meters, nobody's going to have them, And I just think it's the time.
You brought us up to the next point that I was going to bring it up in the next segment that we talked about, but while you're there, I can tell you that the next one I was going to come to you was as far as the parking meters coming out of there. I think the business community would agree, I think council agreed, it will start to beautify that area instead of
Right.
all the holes sticking up all over the place.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. While I think about it, before I forget, just maybe I'm wrong on this because it's just coming up tonight. But what we were talking about with like Rite Aid has 5 spaces that anybody can park in, really, because nobody's checking on them. And I'm sure that the people that come down to the liquor store and go to the bar, they know that they can slide in there and park for free. Down the other end, they have a few spaces. People can get in there, so people catch on real quick. What would being these kiosks have the capability of going to the same thing like we had before. When you went into business, here's a coin. If they want to run out and put it back in, that's fine. If not, they can use it again. Okay. But now if they're capable of giving a paper thing out that they can use, why not say to Rite Aid, look, we're not giving you those spots anymore. Your customers come in here, you want to do something for your customers, they hand you money, you hand them a coin. So now they get free parking the next time they come in, or they get so long, 15 minutes they come in. If you do that for both of them, now you're freeing up those spaces because there's no reason for them to say they have to have it for their customers because they can give their customers a free coupon.
Second thing, hey guys, if I may, when it got cold in that, sometimes meters freeze up. Does this kiosk, would it ever freeze up? Just something.
Unless I don't know something, which they between the chief and the parking department, we had one issue where it wasn't working and we weren't quite sure which way it went, and it turned out to be thermal on the paper, right?
Yes.
It was what?
Thermal on the paper was wrinkled.
Oh, okay. Then all. Yeah.
I know on this system of no shutdowns.
Yeah, the company supposes, they quote that these are good to -10 degrees before there's any kind of like hardware faults. But they said that Mitch said that they can work as low as -30 degrees and still not have any issues. So that's what they claim, and I don't think it's gonna I'm hoping it's not gonna get that colder anytime.
Well, no, hey Dave, I was just trying to cover every base.
Yeah.
Just in
Well,
case
the thing of it is, there is electronics in there. There's electric in there, as in our meters, there isn't.
Right, exactly.
So, there's got to be a little bit of heat in there somewhere with that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to touch every base.
I personally think that that's why I really got convinced about let's see if we can get the money and let's do this. Because I think we're helping the public. When people get out of their cars and go somewhere, if they know they can put money back into it while they're gone, if they know it's not going to cost them a fortune. In Washington, because I do work up the courthouse a couple of days, the biggest problem we have in the courthouse in Washington, the biggest problem is quarters. And where do I get quarters? Or, I can't use a card or whatever. If they could use cards, it'd be wonderful, but that's where people are always running around looking for quarters. So this way they can use their card when they get out. They don't need, and it makes it easier for them.
And on your point, sir, if we do go with this system, if somebody does come into the police station to pay a ticket, we can piggyback off of that system and allow them to use a credit card downstairs as well, which is another nice feature. I actually had 2 people that came in today with their debit card at the window and I had to turn them one. They had cash on them, but so that kind of opens up a whole nother revenue stream that we haven't ever had before as far as people being able to use their card to pay.
And if we all know during the pandemic, what were stores doing? stores are trying to buy coins. Then they were restricting. They weren't, if you went in and bought something for 35 cents, they're telling you, I don't have a dime to give you back. So coins are in trouble. So, I think it's been.
Yeah, I mean, the whole currency thing's going away.
Right.
I know it's going to take the credit cards. It'll take credit card by phone. We'll take Apple Pay. Do you know?
I don't believe so, no. I believe it's just the app and then paying in person at the kiosk.
Okay.
Yes, the app is available for all Android and I devices. So-
And as that goes forward, and this is completely, but related to Denise, we don't take credit cards anywhere. So now we're talking about doing that at the pool also. And maybe that becomes more of a, total package that you can work with them having POS, us having POS up at the pool, wherever else the borough. I mean, I know, as you said, somebody comes in to pay a ticket, can't take a credit card.
Yes, and it's actually, for us to take credit cards, it's not going to cost us as a borough anything. They actually charge the customer a premium fee on their own end. So we still get our $10, $20, $30, whatever it is, if they're paying a fine or if they're, that's for fine-based stuff if we take a credit card downstairs. But like I said, it doesn't cost the borough anything, which is another nice perk of that.
Yeah.
They actually back charge that to the customer. The customer knows up front, I may pay 75 cents, to do this $10 transaction. And that's for them, that's the cost of doing business on their end. So.
Right. Okay.
And just from my experience, I mean, I work downtown, so we use the kiosks, the parking kiosks. So I just download an app and it'll keep track of your credit card or whatever. So it is nice. I don't have to put money into the actual machine, but you could do it from your phone. So.
If you're a repeat user of the space, Eric, you don't even need to go to the machine, right?
Nope, I have it right. I have it on my phone. And the way theirs is set up is on the kiosk, it has a number and you just have to locate that number of that kiosk on your,
It'll be on the signs down there.
Yeah, it'll,
Down there on the pole, right
Yeah.
now, there's no number. It says, you just look up there and you punch that number right in and it's in your phone all the time for that lot.
It's ID through the license plate number.
Right.
Correct, Eric?
Right.
Yep.
And
License.
every time he comes in, he won't even have to worry, once it's in his phone, you don't have to worry about it. He could do it while on the way coming up here. Boom, 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 pull in the lot and there's an empty,
Yeah.
go right in.
it's a good feature.
So we conclude our presentation unless council has additional questions. Our recommendation from the committee is to move forward with the purchase of the 5, with the options we talked about and the reoccurring costs that will be on an annual basis. If you're okay with that, we'd like to go into a few more things with parking, or do you want to wait until my report? But they can all correlate.
Yeah, let's wait till your report. You can bring it in, I think. That's okay. We could wait till your report and you can bring it in if you want. Question, and because I'm saying about the credit card, now, that's all part of this package, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, because I know some things are added on. I'm saying it's a good deal. And I'm thinking, is that part, what do you put into it?
No,
That's part of
that's part of,
United.
that's-
Okay,
That goes along with United Public Safety with the scan gun. Yes, so that, as long as we go with everything that's included in there, as long as that's all purchased, then yes, the credit card feature it comes along with it.
We all have asked every question that we could possibly answer, because as I told the team, I said, I don't want to come back to council and say, hey, we need to do some work on our money to make this project. I just can't say anymore.
Well,
I think we covered it all.
Well, the other thing, and to that point, so on the aspect of reporting, so you'll be able to report out spreadsheets and things like that of permits, of timeframes, all that other stuff. So you can actually eventually get an analysis of what your peak time is, what your slow time is, stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, there's a
You know-
portal we use downstairs that Lisa and I both have access to, and we can pull any report configured any way you want it.
you know what, and I do, like you said, I do like the idea of, because we all know it happens, we all do it, that if I pull in and put $2 on a meter and leave sooner than what I thought, and there's still $1 left, you notice people ride around and look for that free meter. When I back out, it's blank. Somebody pulls in, they're not getting that buck's gone. Sorry
Yeah.
about it, So I think it does make your revenue, it should make your revenue go up.
So again, as Chief said, and I just want you to hear it one more time, technology, there's new items that like everyone.
New challenges, yeah.
Different reports that are gonna come, those take minutes to, come up with all the time. And as Denise and I have been working together for this week and next week, there's other things that are being requested of Dave and the parking authority that we had to increase an hour a day just to try to get that done, plus do our assignments out in the lot, and then we'll revisit that too. But, it's like everything. There's only so many hours with, between David and Lisa, and it just depends on how much we want to get done. And right now, there's a lot of people tugging at our tails to get the information and data. And hopefully council, as Bruce said, if you need it, use it. And just make sure that it's used wisely, and that's how we operate that department.
Well, that's what council asked for from you, and I think, as Mr. Russo said, I agree with him. I think you've supplied all the questions, and you've come up with a great layout here, and I think we all need to understand, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's no doubt in my mind, but I think you've got us heading down the road, so let's try to get to those. I mean, that's my opinion, so.
Thank you, council. Team, thank you for the efforts.
You all done? No?
Wow.
Yeah, now.
Okay.
Now you can head out, David, unless you want to listen to the rest.
No, we got another, Dave might,
Oh, that Dave, okay, I'm just Dave. Thanks, Dave. Okay, Dave, thank you very much.
Hey, just so you guys know, there's an 8 to 12 week lead time on these things to be made and installed. So,
Okay.
just so we know that going forward, it's not going to be.
But we do appreciate, because I hear good things about it, and I've heard positive things about enforcement lately. We do appreciate what you and Lisa are doing out there on the street. You're doing both. I know you're inside, you're outside, but you have got people's attention. And it's not complaints. People just say they're doing their job now, and they're covering everything.
You got 2 more hours to
So I think it does. Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll go on, and then when you get to the mayors, you can go over yours, Mayor. Okay? Under president's comments, I'm not going to go into a lot. I just, number one, and I want to say this for all of council, not for just for me. We want to commend the street department again for the job they've been doing with all this snow we've had the last month or so getting buried. And I think it's been said before and it's said again, they're doing a great job. I mean, you take that back to them, Tom. I mean, it's just, I called you on the phone one day, if you remember from the city of Washington, during a bad storm. Early in the morning, I was on the way to work, and I left Canonsburg, and the streets were all black and clear and everything. And I got up there towards Washington, and everything was you couldn't find parking places, you couldn't find anything. And I called him, and I said, "You tell your guys that I appreciate getting out of Canonsburg today. I hope I get back. I know I can get back in. So you are doing a great job." That's from council. Okay, mayor's report. We're right there.
Most of them are fairly easy. Council, you need to make a decision on March 14th. The back-in program is up as far as being able to, in the parking lots, back in versus pulling in, head in. That expires on March 14th. Do we want to redo that? Do we want to make it permanent? What is council's pleasure on that part?
There was no accidents or anything like that.
I'm sorry?
There was no accidents reported on back.
The one that I'm aware of, and Mr. Lawrence is here tonight in case he's had additional polls that I'm not aware of.
Only 2 of them I saw been.
2?
What is our
Thank you.
what is our pleasure with if we go to these kiosks? We taking all the poles out immediately?
I believe my comment is knowing the different groups that we've been talking about, the sooner we can get those.
No, that's why I'm asking. I'm looking at Mr. Lawrence and asking him, is that something that's fairly easy to get done? I mean, nothing's easy.
He had to cut them all out.
I don't know if you're going to cut them off flat or I said it's better breaking up the concrete.
Well, and most of them are bolted or you can't just pull the pole out.
No, I understand that, but
They're actually anchored down in to keep that from happening, it's concrete around it. something to keep you going pop. Some of them, we might be able to just pull out because it was installed a long time ago, put it that way.
Well, but the thing of it is, if they stay up for a little while after we get the kiosks and they get bent over, it's just they got bent over and somebody's bumper is going to suffer for it for back. And that's one thing I've always noticed. You never, in the police department, you never got a call that somebody backed in and knocked the meter over. I know it has to damage their bumper, but they won't call and say they did it. So,
I mean, I would think you'd want to, however, you get them out, cut them flush, just like this lot here. You got to be real close. 60 days that they haven't been used to the beautification issue. I mean, I would assume that these got to be coming out pretty soon.
you know, Tommy, if there, and
I don't know.
And I don't know because I haven't looked at where they're all at, but what I'm thinking about is if it was easier for you, if there was a way to cut those off flat at the ground and just put some concrete in there to fill it and it's done, then that's however you handle it.
I think council is committed towards these kiosks. Let's make sure that process is.
Well, you can't do it until we get the kiosks in. Yeah, we don't want you to do it. Once the kiosks
I
are
want to
in.
go back and put new ones.
I don't want to have to read.
No. This won't happen. All I'm trying to give you an idea is we go with the kiosks and they come in and set the kiosks up and however soon we get them in. Once they're in and they're operating, goodbye.
And
So-
the advantage of this parking lot is everybody knows, you come in one way, you drop one way.
Right.
All the parking spaces are facing the same way, so the chances somebody backing in a parking space in this lot.
No,
is
it's not
pretty
gonna, right,
slim.
right.
Because everybody comes in, all the parking spaces go that way. Now, some of the other ones is gonna be a different
Right.
story because they're back in. But this one here is pretty much, you know.
I mean,
some parking because
Is it, once we decide we're going to put these in, the kiosks get in, are we just going to go ahead and give him the
Well, I
okay to?
think what Dave's asking at this point though is
Right.
kiosks are going to take several months,
All right,
maybe 6 months. So
Yeah, to come
do
in.
we
yeah.
want to extend the back-end parking
Right.
at this point,
Let's
which
do it.
sounds like there's no issues? We extend it for another 60, 90 days and revisit it again or something.
right.
Knowing the delivery time of the kiosk, 90 days would be a next target date that I think we ought to look at.
So
But
let's,
if we're gonna do it, we might as well, like Rich said, take the ones out of this parking lot. We could start on this one here.
Well, we're talking about the back end right now. I
Yeah.
think that's the issue on the table. Do we want to
Yeah.
extend that 90 days?
Right.
That would be the suggestion.
We can't vote on it tonight, but we can give you the okay and vote
Yeah.
on it again next
Just
year.
make it a voting item, I think, is the way you wanted to do it last time.
We'll do it that way. Okay. Anybody, we'll just bring it up and vote on it next week, but everybody
Put it on
okay
the
with it?
agenda for next week. and
Yeah,
if-
everybody okay with it?
You got that,
Do
Denise? when you
Okay,
type up the
Denise?
agenda?
Denise got it. She wrote it down already.
extend 90 days.
So if you like the idea so far, which is, parking, it just keeps us extremely busy. Had a conversation with Mr. Severine, Mr. Russo, Mr. Bell. Ideas of, I can run by the police chief to see what his thoughts were. And we're gonna present this to you, whether you move forward with it tonight or you don't move forward with it. But in creating additional parking, with the many minds that were involved, from College Street at Jefferson Avenue to Pike Street, we have taken a look. We would like to turn that roadway into being one-way coming down. On Richie Ziak's side of the street, there's potential for approximately 8 additional parking meters that could be installed on that side. Again, we talked about meters that are going to come out of service. We could ask Public Works to move those 10 meters in there, and we create 10 additional spaces. During this conversation, it came up in years past, maybe everybody, I believe everybody would remember, but on the opposite side of the Bar Association, the conversation has been held that there's potential to have X number of meters that could be installed on the street that side also. But I think for tonight, our first one is to talk about if approval can come soon, that's great. The spot, the territory between College and Pike, to move forward, making that roadway one way and implementing it up to 10 meters at this point. And we can look at it after that to see if there's any potential for additional meters thereafter. And I have to say, with the development team and the things that Lisa's doing, with all the projections that we're hearing, the more spaces that we can create, the better off that we will be.
Right.
Probably the only spaces. Feeds into the main artery would be one way.
I brought this up to the mayor and John and that last week because I was sitting thinking about it, what we could do, because, we've been talking about, we're trying to put more spaces in. We don't have a lot of room. We do have streets. We do have room. I was driving in Pittsburgh last week. I come from Mercy Hospital and I'm down on some streets and they got one-way parking side, both side parking everywhere, cars everywhere. And I'm thinking, we got streets, we can put parking in as long as we can get through here. Maybe pick up a few spaces in the downtown. And that street was one way at one time, a long time ago, and it worked. For some reason, they went to two. And then probably, I'm going to say 10, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, they talked about doing it again. And at that time, the merchants were pretty much in favor of it, but for whatever reason, they didn't do it. So I thought maybe this is a good time to bring it back up. It doesn't, gives you more,
And you're talking about traveling north to south or south to north?
It'd be coming down from College Street
coming
down
down
to
from
Pike.
College to Pike.
Pike,
North to south.
Yeah.
yeah.
North to south.
And it works. It'll work.
Yeah, because that street is actually wide enough
Right.
right now, with the meters being on the street, 2 cars could pass. So making it one way and
It's
you
just
put
making it
meters on the
easier.
other
It
side,
leaves the plow trucks can still get through.
still could
without
get
any
through.
problem.
It's straight through.
I think it's
I
a
mean,
great idea.
but you're trying to create more parking on that in a town. And that's why I was saying about the UP church
Mhm.
and eventually might be, like Rich said, might be all permits. Well, here's a way to pick up the extra meters in town. Yeah, and like Dave said, there's a north part of that from College to Pike. And then you could actually do it from Pike down to the railroad tracks, because I know most of you guys
The
remember.
meters aren't going to cost you anything.
No,
No.
we have them.
No,
Yeah.
we already have the meters already. And if you remember a
John,
long
I
time
said
ago,
that. We already
when
have
the
them.
stores were on that side with the library, you had parking on that street.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but wasn't that street wider though
No,
than it is now?
same size, same size.
But
You know
it's
why,
work-
John?
Huh?
You know why it's wider?
No, it's not, you say it's wider?
Yeah, you
No,
know
it's
why.
exact same size.
You sure?
Yeah, they
'Cause
didn't take out,
Conestoga wagons used to have to turn around.
no, because when Marlene's was on that corner, the same sidewalk is the exact same sidewalk when Marlene's was on that corner. Marlene's dress shop was on the corner of
Oh, I
Pike.
know where.
Okay, well, I'm just,
Sure,
you
I've
looked at
been
me
around
like,
it.
it's the exact same sidewalk. They haven't changed it.
But it should work well for us. And I think
Quick question. So it is collectively part of wanting to get more spaces on that end of town. We know we're going to talk later on about the Little Joe issue, and that's one aspect of it. And we've talked about the library and the impact to ARC and, the UP church, and that's another aspect. Does this move happen relevant to how those things go? If those things go one way, does this, so I think they're intertwined.
I
So
think,
is
yeah,
it- is
if what you're
is it
saying,
reasonable to say, well, it's a great idea if we suspect things are going to go a certain direction with the other two pieces. But I think we have to navigate through those other two pieces at least to make an educated, right choice on Jefferson.
I think it works. I think it works with, if things go through with the other parking lot we'd like to put in down there, because that parking lot will be on the other side of the street. So we'll still be able to have those
Well, but-
meters over
but-
there. We don't lose them.
I would think the opposite, that if we get Little Joe's and it goes through and we create 25 spots there, then we don't need to make it one way. We're getting the spaces.
Yeah, but
I don't
If
think
the-
it hurts.
Hold on, John. If the ARC thing goes through and we free up 50 spaces in UP, we need to create the burden of a one-way, because the one-way there will be some outcry that it's troublesome initially, but maybe not. I'm just saying that I think we need to talk about all three pieces as they are intertwined, as opposed to just looking
I'm
at
not-
one way on Jefferson
Well,
by
Yeah,
itself.
I'm not, I'm just saying, I'm not really hot on from College down to in front of the Bar Association.
I don't think they're talking about.
No,
that
the
one.
mayor had mentioned it, but I don't,
The first
yeah,
section I want to
that,
talk
the
about-
second part of that, I don't like that part myself.
As
I like the
one,
upper.
as one way?
College, no, college to
Right.
Pike.
I just don't even like putting any meters on that street. That's just me, and I'll explain later when we get into that.
There used to be
Why I
meters on the
think that
street.
way. Pardon me?
Yeah, there used to be
right
meters
Used to
on that
be, but
street.
now we got the parking lot. When cars come out of the parking lot, it might
Do you
be a
remember what
little harder
side they
for
were
them
on,
to see.
Harold?
Right
Yeah.
They were on the right-hand side where the
Right-hand
library was
side.
at.
The
Forever.
library side.
Library side.
Sure.
They were on the library side.
Well, remember though, you had businesses there too. You had,
Right,
Yeah, but
Cheeky's, you had
remember,
Buckley's,
you're
you
picking
had
up-
Jimmy's Wallpaper and Paint,
Right.
Joyce's.
Yeah, but remember, you are picking up more businesses down there. Now that whole block is filled with businesses.
What was that bar? Come on.
You had
Chichi
Yeah.
Clasios.
No, I'm talking about the one up further up there.
the Monica's.
Littell's,
the
not
Monica.
Littell's, I'm sorry.
It was the
Oh,
Monica on the
Jimmy
corner.
Delmonico's.
Del
the
Monte's,
Monica.
yeah. They had, had that all, that
Yeah,
strip.
but right now, that whole street's filled already with businesses.
I personally think we could look at doing the ups. I think we could do the upper,
Sorry.
if that's what everybody wants to do. I think we could do the upper. I think we could do the upper section now and then worry about the rest. That's
The
my
part
opinion.
with Rich,
College to Pike. And if you all feel we'll make that one way, put up to 10 spaces, the way we counted to 10 spaces. We took exactly what was on the other side, and we stopped right at the.
Apartment building.
Right at Little Joe.
right,
And we stay away from the alley so that when they come out of that alleyway.
they can make a
they
left.
Still make that turn, and that creates 10 meters. I might have to adjust a little bit here and there, but.
Yeah, you could go from the carpet place down to the apartments.
Yeah, I'd say 8 to 10 is fine, whatever. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
if everybody's okay with that one, let's work on that one. That's, but it's what everybody thinks.
The reason we would need, if we're gonna move in that direction, it makes sense that, once Tom is working on taking the meters out, we can take them, put them in place. He's gonna do measurements, that's all gonna take.
Well, I understand. I'm just trying to think of things. We've all been talking about finding more parking, and I think that's the place to pick it up without killing anybody. And
So, so I'd like to hear from Tommy. What?
Tommy, get your
Just-
head right.
No, I'd just like to get from Public Works perspective, what is his thought on making that section of Jefferson one way?
I mean, the obvious thing for us is, I would like to have no on-street parking any place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Straight up.
She
on
was a
the
little
street.
scrappy.
Yeah,
Anytime we can get cars off the road, we like to get them. I don't think that's gonna deter us too much from plowing down through there and salting down through there. The only thing it don't do is if we have a big snow, we'll have to use a space or something that we gotta plow. We'll have to occupy, one of the parking spaces.
Gotcha. Okay.
If it snows someplace.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah.
The next one, again, some more parking conversation. You asked me, if it wasn't, we can just forget about it and go to where. I was asked to contact Mr. Kerry Fox. Is that a part of this meeting?
You have to watch, the microphones are sensitive. That's all. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
you guys,
You asked me to talk to Mr. Kerry Fox.
Yes, what was brought up at our executive meeting about the four.
Want me to bring it up now?
What was?
Spaces.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it, but I mean, I don't know, I think it's a little premature.
Well,
Yeah, I think the answer is we don't have an answer.
what's it for?
could we do
Rich?
Could we do this?
Executive session.
Yeah, could we do this? Yeah, because it is about finance and stuff like that. Could we do it under, is that all right, Mr.
Yeah.
Solicitor?
Does it have to do with leasing of any property?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Lineup started at 8:30 in the morning with a parade at 10 o'clock. The then covering the cost on everything that's necessary. And with your approval, then I can apply for the permit to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
What day of the week is that?
I'm sorry.
What day of the week is that, 21st?
In August?
August 21.
I mean, I would assume it's a Saturday.
That's Saturday. 20th, Friday.
Okay. They're willing to cover the cost.
They have to cover it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You understand the traffic control, and that's what's going to be the expense. Okay.
And then they also have to provide us with insurance, identifying the border Canonsburg.
Right.
So that'll be a voting item.
Anybody have any problem with putting that on as a voting?
I don't have a problem.
No.
Okay.
That's a long way off though, isn't it?
That's right. That would be the Canonsburg Hospital Child Safety Back to School Parade.
That falls under events,
That's good.
right?
Can
Okay.
we do that in June or whenever?
Back to school.
They want to do it right before school goes
Back
back
to
in.
school, Ed.
Huh?
Back to school, not,
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Okay.
The next one would be October 30th. So that these folks can continue on. It'll be probably the fifth one we've done, and we were absent last year due to COVID. The Canonsburg School District Scholarship Society would like to commence with their jack-o'-lantern jog that they've done to raise money for scholarships. And that would be on October 30th. And police and fire would be involved in both of these requests.
Do you know where that run's going to go?
Yes, it starts at the high school, comes down Elm Street, basically to South Jefferson Avenue. Chief, will you help me? I think it goes to Murdoch.
Yeah, it goes up through West End and goes eventually, it's like Hawthorne area, comes down from off, turning left and go down Strabane and then up to the high school right after that.
yeah.
That's called the Canonsburg Scholarship Foundation Jack-O-Lantern Jog. Take that with you if you want.
Okay.
And two other items that we need to have. The public one would be the chief's update on the Civil Service Commission. Chief?
No, we had a civil service meeting, and part of that result is a motion and a list to vote on for next week. It's on the agenda. The other part is we met regarding the assistant/deputy chief. Civil services agreed to the testing procedure that I laid out, which is the essay question and the oral interview questions. We're going to have the certified candidate after that, followed by borough council, obviously, who would have the final say in the hire. What I need from you, Mr. President, is to appoint you don't have to do this tonight, but appoint 5 people. I would hope myself would be part of it as the hiring board, who would sit in on the oral interviews and evaluate, responses in the oral interview and evaluate responses on the written exam also.
Okay. All right. I'll look into it. You don't need it tonight. So, all right.
And then, Mr. President,
Okay.
I need to discuss with you.
And we'll add that too. We're going to have I was going to bring it up anyway. We're going to have a meeting on finance and help me, Mr.
Joe.
Joe.
Litigation as well.
Yes.
That
Okay.
briefing will only take
Nothing
about
on
30
finance.
seconds. It affects you a little bit financially.
He said
So
finance.
I just need 30
Need
seconds
executive
just to
session
brief
for
you the
finance.
status of an incident.
Personnel. we-
What is that?
I just need about 30 seconds just to brief you on the status of
area.
an incident.
Yeah, I mean.
In the in executive session?
Executive
Okay.
session for-
Okay. On the employee. Okay. Thank you.
Other than that, Mr. President, Council, thank you for your time. We had a lot of time invested. I do appreciate your time and attention, and if you have any questions for Chief Rock, please.
Yeah, one question, Dave. Are we having Easter egg hunt this year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I
'cause
talked to Mr. Russo.
When is that? When is that going to be? I mean, I know close
Saturday before Easter, whatever that might be.
the Saturday right before it or the week before it?
Saturday of Easter, right? Tom? Yeah, Saturday of Easter.
The following day will be Easter is what you're saying. Okay.
All right, and the other question is, you want me to bring up the green side one? Since we went into the parking?
Yes, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't continue with that.
Okay, I went to Dave, and on green side, there's 5 meters. But the only people that would possibly use it, nobody else, is there's only 2 houses on that road. And like he said, they only bring, and then people, residents are putting money in a meter to live in their house, and that's only generating $25 a week, which is, it's really not a lot. But I was thinking of if we could do a 30-day trial, because I don't think really we need them, because you're gonna be putting townhouses back there behind, in that lot that you guys sell. And the meters up there is not gonna do nothing for none of the businesses, because right now I had Dave, check with Dave, the meter person. If any other of the people over here would use them meters over there, and he said, no, none of the people over here, Rite Aid, none of them people will use them and all that. So I was thinking if we could do a trial run, just to show everybody that the meters are, we don't need them.
Okay, can I ask, are those enforced, those meters?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Oh, okay, I was looking at Alex and you, okay.
Yeah,
They're-
they're enforced, but the only people that are using them is a person that may run into the house or go in the house, and then they got to put me in front of their resident house. There's 2 houses, 5 meters. Those are the only people using it. It's not being used for no business.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And I'm looking at it from 2 different points. I understand what you, but we're looking for more parking places.
Yeah, but on that end of town, you're not gonna get no one going to Greenside, to go to Rite Aid. That right there, they have enough parking in front of this building and in this parking lot to cover all the businesses. That lot's never filled. That's empty. Not empty,
Well,
but it's still.
Okay.
No one up there is going up there to park to run into Rite Aid.
No, during the day, I agree with you. I'm just
That's what I'm
we have
saying.
other
Well,
things
that's
to-
what I'm saying. And the only people would use it is in the 2 houses in front of a residential area. I'm just saying, we don't need them, but we could do a 30-day trial so we could see if I'm right. But it's only bringing $25 a week
I
in.
think, and to me, it doesn't matter. I think the only issue I would have is you need to be, there's got to be equity about it. If, and I know this came up years ago, Kim, for instance, is a resident that has a meter in front of her house. You'd have to be consistent. Either you're going to eliminate meters in front of residential areas or not.
All right, well, let
If you
me,
did,
okay, go ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
I
And I
tried.
can answer your question on that one.
Good.
On
That's all.
that end of
That's-
town, you have more businesses on that end of town. On this end of town, there's no business on Greenside.
We're still in residence, though.
But,
No,
but,
no.
but to Rich's point, to be consistent with, you can't just, because there's more businesses here versus here, is there's parking meters in front of residents' houses.
If-
Now, my question to you is, in front of those residents' houses, you mentioned that those residents are parking at the meters. Now, you're also the same guy that also wants people to park. Don't they have off-street parking that they can park in off-street parking? Aren't those,
Well-
don't those 2 houses have
There's
off-street parking?
Yeah, they got one driveway that goes in between houses, but I'm
How
just
about like
saying,
that church there? There's no
On
church.
Sunday, they use that.
Oh, they do?
or if they have a
You
funeral
don't
to
take
a
it
week.
on Sunday,
Yeah, okay.
do you do?
You know, John, let's do this.
I just said
if
do
you
it
don't
for
mind,
30 days and
if
see how
don't-
much you
if
really.
don't mind, can we put this on hold for a month? Let's talk about it a little bit amongst us.
I'm just-
All right,
I appreciate that. I mean, we could, because we do have 2 different sides here. Let's just put it on hold for a while and let's, a month, and let's talk about it.
I do see your point, John.
It-
I'm not saying-
I understand you're talking about the other end of town, but the other end of town, there's more businesses than that going in,
It
and that's a
isn't-
lot of spaces.
That's not the point.
Well-
If I'm Kim, okay, I'm going to tell you, you're taking away the meter in front of some people's houses, you got to do the same thing for me. I'm just, or you may decide not to, or maybe you take Kim's also, that's only one more. I'm just saying, you need to treat everybody the same.
You know.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just looking at there's businesses down there.
It's
You
still
got-
in front of a residential house.
There's no businesses over there.
But if you
It's
take,
still in front of a residential.
Okay, so if
house.
the people like Derek said, they park in the back, you're not getting nothing out of it. They just sit there for just
But-
our looks.
if
You
we
might as well leave them
take,
there.
Eric, why'd you say that? Yeah.
if we take the meters away, is it going to be free parking or is it going to be no parking? Which
You
is
could
it gonna
put,
be?
you could actually do residential parking for the 2 houses there.
now we're starting a whole different ballgame.
I could show you residential
No,
houses in
no.
neighborhoods right now.
But I'm just saying, we could have to start
I
a
know.
whole new thing. It's whether-
I know, I'm just saying,
John,
or just leave it open for the public. No one's gonna park way over there and walk over to Rite Aid. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
I am not arguing with
Ain't
you.
nobody gonna park that far.
I am not arguing with you to take anything away from you, because you do have a lot of good ideas. You've worked on parking lots.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this one, let's think about it a little bit.
All
before we
right,
do
think about it, but I'm just gonna tell you, no one's gonna walk from a business all the way down here. 18 Coil already has their parking. And eventually you're gonna move their permit to the back, and they still have the whole back of the building and the side of the building. Next to that, McGrogan's people park in the back of the building. They don't buy permits. State store.
I'm glad I know that, yeah.
No,
Yeah, I-
McGrogan's don't buy permits. They use the back of their building and park back there.
The only thing I would be afraid of is if you take it away, those people, there might be inconvenienced, but at the same time, people that do business in that place right there, once they realize there's free parking there, they'll start parking. I
No,
mean,
because ask Dave. Dave asked Dave that question. Dave said unlikely. They're not gonna, who's, the only people buying permits are Rite Aid. And they're all parking right next to their building. They're not gonna park half a block or a block
But
away.
isn't that like a home over there or something like that?
No, it's gone. We bought it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if we can, let's put this on until next
Yeah,
month.
all
to
right,
talk
bring it
about
up, put it
We'll
up
talk
next
about it
month.
again.
You
Bring
can
it
talk
back
about
up,
it. I'm
bring
just
back up.
saying, I understand what you're saying, Rich, but that's more businesses on that end. There's no businesses here. If there was business there, I say stay here, but there's nothing. It's got meters, nothing. It does nothing on this end of town.
You
I
said
understand you staying down there on
$25
Gibbs End, on that end of town, yeah, but you got businesses all the way down to the church. You got a restaurant that's possibly going to go in. Unions are all saying make the UP church parking lot, put more meters, but then that's got to compensate for permits. You're just on that's the more busier end than over here.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. But we could talk about it next
All right,
month.
let's do that. Okay, thank you. All right, where are we at?
Solicitors.
Oh, he asked you that question
I'm done.
I think Dave might be done.
You done?
You're kidding me.
You're
Really?
done.
And I think it's been a lot of work, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Our solicitor.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be a little shorter than the mayor. First, you'll see on your agenda is a Washington County SWAT mutual aid agreement. I took a look at that. It's basically updating the terms that's been historically adopted here. We had a fee resolution meeting. May have been before last voting meeting, but there is the alarm ordinance revision on there. The issue with that was, I think I already explained it. It had the permit issuing authority as the borough's 911 community or 911 emergency dispatch system. You guys no longer have that. So it's just basically renaming the borough and updating fees for false alarms. And we had 2 meetings on the zoning map. This is about 90% completed. So far, it's looking to be a very good update to your zoning ordinance. We're going to have at least 1, maybe 2 more meetings going through the revisions, and then Veronica and I will iron out the legalese of it, and it'll be presented before you guys. After that, we will have to give your planning commission, I believe it's 30 days notice to comment along with the county's planning commission. And then we'll have to do the advertising and the notification to your residents for a hearing to adopt it. And I do have 2 items relating to litigation for executive session.
Okay,
Any questions?
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor, can I ask you a question for the people? It continues to come up. The latest one was, again, we've had a major fire on East College Street,
Mhm.
down near Councilman Chandler's house. And the people, quote unquote, won't even come by there because they're intimidated and upset when they come by there. They come up through Brown Alley, which is a way to bypass that.
Okay.
home. But 1, I understand the insurance company part. Number 2, there's a way to clean up around that facility and, you know, whether it's hauled away or put back into the structure until insurance tears it down. But it's terrible, the site that those residents have had to look at. That's number one. That's probably been, what, 6 months, a few months? And then number two, on South Central Avenue at Arch, am I right, Arch? We have
Yeah.
major-
You got the
we have
same,
major incident there,
same room.
probably going on 2 years.
Yeah.
Councilman Bells.
Yes.
And the same thing, you know, it's just sat in there in the condition that when the fire was extinguished, that, you know, it's pushed from this one to this one to this one. I think this municipality needs more teeth somehow to make these people
Well,
take care of that much quicker than 2 years later.
at its basic level, it's a code violation. Obviously, it's an unsafe structure if it's not, you know, habitable and it's in risk of falling down, becoming more deteriorated. So I'll talk to your code enforcement official and I'll bring it up to him to see.
We did something like that on, I think a while back, was on Elm Street. They remember that, that building was like a little bad and then, but I know the borough had to pick up the tab and get that knocked down. I don't know how,
I mean,
we would have to,
can't you simply, first step would be to condemn it.
right.
And then you start following the process of raising it and let them come to defend why you can't.
We should, yeah, our ordinances should cover it. I think maybe,
I'm comfortable with Mr. Rousseau as far as condemnation and raising and all that. But what happens in between, like the one up on Arch and South Central, I think Denise might be able to address a little bit further. Initially, they were going to rehab it, so forth and so on. And then they played games and they decided, oh, now we'll sell it. You know,
Well, I think the cleanup is you do the code, all right? So you start with citations for blight, and that's going to go to whoever owns it. And maybe at this point, the insurance company owns it, the bank owns it, the people walked away from it, whomever is going to be responsible for addressing it like they would address any property, clean it up. If you don't, we condemn it.
And
Then what? Well, then we tear it down. I mean, it is on us to force the issue.
I would,
I mean,
yeah.
if you wait for them, it's going to be, as you said, like South Central.
Right.
Now, are we in a position, I mean, I would force it until somebody stopped me.
I would think that because of the nature of a fire, sad, I mean, people's loss and everything, maybe codes sort of not sure or to force to look like they're bullying their way through, but we do have, I'm sure, rules that got to be followed, and it's
Again, as far as if they're investigating it, that'll fall out. We have to control what we can control.
And if-
You cite them, if they come back and say, wait a minute, this is a police investigation, then you stop. But we can only control what we can control. So you do it until they show you the document that says stop.
And do you have a fire escrow ordinance?
Yeah.
Has any of these properties applied for the fire escrow in this case?
We've got that escrow from Holly.
Okay.
So,
We'll need to take a look at that ordinance too, because usually there's a time frame of which you have to either remediate the house, tear down the house, or the borough using that money that's in the escrow account can go and do the demolition.
Well, as Joe said, or Dave, the one on South, I mean, that was before I got involved. That's been 2 years. Yeah.
Well, the one on College is, I talked to Josh, it is condemned. There is a sign up that says it is condemned. So I don't know where he's at in the process, but.
Well, if you could, Denise, between Joe and the code and the fire, if they could look at it and let's get it moved, tell them we'd like it to move along. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, our economic development director called me tonight. She's ill and apologizes and she can't make it. She will definitely be here next week.
Okay.
Borough's manager.
Um, this month I've completed the annual survey of financial condition report and submitted it to the state. I was asked to do a budget analysis on funds other than the general fund and to calculate a reasonable annual payment for a note or bond issue for redevelopment projects. I contacted Anthony Cardone at Washington Financial Bank. He did get back to me today and told him that we were inquiring about financing, and we wanted an idea of how much we could borrow for that, a reasonable payment amount. We have to start with audited financials for the last 3 years and some other data. I started on that today. We had our first safety committee meeting last week with Encova, who is our new workers' comp company. Forming the safety committee and having regular meetings and taking minutes at those meetings will reduce our liability or premium by 5%. So that's all I have for right now. If you want to move on to voting items.
Okay.
Approve February 8th, 2020 meeting minutes of Canonsburg Borough Council. Number 2, approve resolution 01-21, which is the fee schedule. Number 3, authorize the chief of police to renew the mutual aid compact for Washington Regional SWAT. Number 4, approve extending the police civil service police candidate list to expire March 9th, 2022. Number 5, approve advertising and ordinance amending Chapter 63, alarms of the Borough Code of Ordinances, establishing a permit system for alarms and violations thereof. Number 6, approve the Planning Commission's recommendation to hold a continual use hearing to allow OmniSite Media LLC to install a billboard located between Four Coins Drive and Route 79, and the parcel numbers there. Number 7, award bid for 119 Greenside Avenue property. Bids will be open tomorrow at 2. Number 8, approve extending back-end parking an additional 90 days. Number 9, I hope I wrote this down right. Approve Canonsburg Hospital Child Safety Back to School Safety Parade, August 21st, 2021. Okay. If you want, yeah, go ahead. 8:30. All right. Number 10, approve Canna Macmillan Scholar Foundation Jack-o'-lantern jog. What is that? Jog. October 30th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Okay. And that's it for the voting items, correct? Okay. We're under unfinished business. We had the zoning map meeting today. Joe, I think Joe talked about that. Yeah. 2020 I&I project was to go out to bid. It was to be awarded this month, but KLH needs to advise on that yet. I don't think it was re-advertised yet. Hiring a finance officer. We're having a executive session Wednesday at 6:30.
That's yeah.
Here at the Grove.
Yes.
Right.
Number 4, we're working on the Comcast contract renewal. Number 5, Ms. Bells brought up about time clocks. Number 6, the Ridge Avenue curb replacement project. I do believe Veronica is working on a contract with the utility companies right now. And
Right,
does,
the bids, she has bids, but she thinks they're a little
yeah,
high.
well, yeah, she wants to see if the PA American and
Will cooperate.
yes. New business. We received a request. Do you want me to talk about that or not? The RCAP grant. Yeah, we received a request from Carrie Fox. We need to sign a cooperative agreement for Precision Metal Amerisource. Is going out for, I think, a $1.5 million RCAP grant. And as part of that, we have to sign off on being, it's a cooperative agreement. It's in Joe's hands right now. He's going to get a little bit more detail on it, and that could possibly come up for a vote next week.
I just need to talk to Carrie Fox, I'll call him tomorrow.
Okay. And other than that, does anybody else have anything for new business?
Hey, Denise, Wednesday would be okay to come in and you have maybe the bills in order
Sure.
to sign. Tina, do you have a problem with Wednesday?
Wednesday morning?
Yeah.
Should be, yeah, should be okay.
Ron, we say 9:30, 10?
Yeah, 10.
10, okay. I'll be in and Tina will be in to sign the bills. And then if you have some checks that need signed, we'll sign those too.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you,
All right.
Tina.
Okay,
That's all I
thank you.
have.
Possible voting, a new voting item. RT, we had some correspondence back and forth. I'd like to request an expenditure of $5,000 to do the survey on Public Works' building. They're moving forward with drawings and such without that, but if you recall, it was Veronica suggested that we have a survey
Survey
done
done.
and you were gonna,
Look at it, having their engineer.
Is that,
prepare stuff.
Right.
could it be 3,000? Could it be, or you
the
just
quote
talk?
the quote was 5,000. I mean, I can read the email we got from Veronica if you'd like. I think, Tommy, you saw that. Denise, I think you were
If
on
it
that
was
email
5,000,
also.
you don't have to, you don't have to, I don't want to, I'll just say,
I
But
think that was their quote.
that was their quote to
Okay,
survey
fine.
Public Works in the continuing.
if council
effort
goes
to
along with
redo.
it, no problem. You put it on the vote.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Denise? We can come up with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Add that to the voting.
Righty, that's
Good.
it.
All right, I guess we're
And I'll
gonna-
see you Wednesday.
we are at this time now, Mr. Delfonso, our solicitor, we have to go to executive session. How do we do that now?
Stay here.
We're not coming back to vote on anything?
Sorry.
So we have to end the meeting
Why?
and resume that?
Why?
Okay,
That's what I said earlier.
Just
Started
adjourn
sounding like
it?
Joe McGarrett.
Oh, no.
for the
Oh, I
night
went to
or
school
just
with
to
them and they
adjourn?
were down there at that restaurant that used to
Okay.
be closed in the dress
Okay,
shop.
we're going to adjourn the meeting and then go into an executive session
We
on-
shut off this microphone?
as soon as we're done adjourning. Can
Oh,
I
thought
I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
All right, we have a
Second.
motion, have a second? Second, Mr. Chandler. Question on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes, opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, the meeting's adjourned. We will go into an executive session now.